Good morning. My name is Dick Dodge. I'm Betsy's big brother, and I am proud to be called brother-in-law to Mark Stefan Menikos. And on behalf of Betsy, sons Micah and Ian, and their mother Robin, brothers Tom, Tim, and Damon, and sister Melanie, and the stepmom Judy Menikos, we welcome you and thank you for being here today. Your presence here is an encouragement to the Menikos family. Back in 1971, a guy named Don McLean wrote a song called American Pie. Any of you know that song? It's a long, involved song remembering the lives of popular singers back then, Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper, who died years earlier in a plane crash. The tagline of that song was "The Day the Music Died." As I came into the room with Betsy and Mark a week ago Sunday, it was just minutes after Mark had passed away. And when I saw him there, I thought, today is the day the music died, as I looked at him. And to many of us that knew Mark and his music prowess, they considered that that was the day that the music died. But there are many facets to Mark's life that build a composite picture of this quiet, reserved, talented man that we will remember and cherish. So we are a richer people for having known Mark Menikos. And besides working as a mail carrier and doing data analyst work for the U.S. Postal Service, his life was marked by the various roles that he filled. So let's just go through a couple of these. As a husband, let me start with what my family and others noticed about Mark as a husband. As Betsy's big brother, nothing was more important to me than to know that she was going to be teamed up with a man who would love her, treat her with respect and kindness and dignity. Mark was that man. They met at Taekwondo class, and where Mark earned his black belt, and I always kind of wondered if I was going to have to worry about him taking me out someday. But then I realized Mark was not that kind of martial artist. Couple examples of the love that Mark showed as a husband. At one time, Mark and Betsy were going to join a kung fu class together and learn that trade. And the instructor said, "Okay, you need to take off all your rings and wedding bands just for safety reasons." Mark refused. That was too important to him. They were married on August 5th, 1995. And for months after that, for years after that, on the 5th of every month, Mark would bring Betsy flowers commemorating their wedding. Our sister Caroline observed as Mark and Betsy visited them at their retirement facility, community in Virginia, that there are certain kind of couples that are married couples, and then there are dating couples. And you could tell the dating couples because they would hold hands when they walked around. And that's what Mark and Betsy did. They held hands. I was deeply impressed as I watched Betsy travel these last few years as Mark began to slip away. She treated him with love and tenderness this whole time. He knew he was loved by Betsy, and you could tell in his limited responses that he loved Betsy as well. What a marriage. As a father, As a dad, Mark loved his son Micah and Ian and looked for ways to enjoy time with them. They learned Taekwondo together, and one of their favorite activities was to do lunch together and then go to a movie, and they spent hours together doing video games. So these two men had a special place in their hearts, his heart. Okay, as a brother, Mark was one of 4 boys and a sister, and they enjoyed collaborating together from early days and into later life. As to the little boys, one event that was shared by a couple of his brothers was they were fooling around the house, and they came up with this idea it would be a lot of fun to slide down the laundry chute in their house. And the first one to do that was Mark, and that's as far as it went, because Mark got stuck in the laundry chute, and Tim and Tom and Damon can tell you the details, but his head was wedged in there, and they had to call a neighbor to come over and extract him. And I just want you guys to know that Mark never revealed who it was that talked him into it or pushed him on the chute. Mark's creativity, as he enjoyed, he just enjoyed creating things, and he liked to create comic books, and he used the stuffed animals in their home as characters for these comic stories. And of course, there was the large box that became the Destructo-Mobile. So that was the early days. In later days, in adult years, they collaborated together in the creation of Brothers 3 with Tim and Tom, and it grew to 7 members, including Betsy on keyboard. His music. Time this morning won't permit me to adequately describe Mark's prowess and his accomplishments in the area of music. Mark started playing violin at age 9, and he went professional at age 15. Can you dig that? This quiet, soft-spoken introvert became wildly passionate with a violin in his hands and a stage to stand on. It was just amazing. The first time I saw Mark perform, I was surprised to see an animated persona as his talents exploded on stage. He affected many artists in our town with his work with them, the people that he collaborated with. And here are some of the comments that they made. A beautiful point of light has departed this world, and I'm deeply saddened. My life is better for his and all of y'all's music and friendship. I'm so grateful that our journeys coincided with so much appreciation, respect, and love. Another one. Makes me sad that Mark's presence is no longer with us. His spirit lives on in all our memories. Another one. I just remember many times how wowed we were by Mark's playing. He was the most authentic gypsy jazz violinist in North Texas. On many live shows, we would just let him shine as much as he needed with his great stage presence and high energy playing. I remember him recording in the studio of the Café du Swing. We would all look at each other in amazement while watching and hearing him do his takes. Brothers 3 band member writes, "It broke my heart to see his genius slipping away. He could write complicated pieces of music out on a staff paper on a long car trip to a gig without an instrument nearby. His violin performances were unmatched. He ran Brothers 3 for a decade efficiently. He was family to me." Mark wrote music for TCU and SMU dance and ballet departments. He composed the Sounds of Space for a traveling exhibit for space and technology on a USA tour. He arranged music for the Meyerson in Dallas. He contributed source music for the movie Lone Wolf McCade, starring Chuck Norris. So we got to go get that movie tonight. He wrote Brothers 3 arrangements, and he was accomplished in gypsy jazz, Celtic music, and country music. Many more accomplishments and contributions that I'm missing should be mentioned, but I would encourage you to check out his bio that's on the table out in the reception area today. Okay, in conclusion, Mark Stefan Menikos was a talented, quiet, gentle man who played with passion on stage. He was a devoted husband, father, brother, and musician, and left a distinct mark on many. We will miss him. There are CDs back in the reception area that are free for taking from the Brothers 3 days, as well as the bio. As you listen to that music, and especially the violin elements, that you realize that Mark, the man, has left us. But February 11th, 2 weeks ago, that was not the day the music died. He lives on. And as St. Paul said in his first chapter to the Philippians, Mark, I thank God upon every remembrance of you. Thank you very much.